Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really looking at some common career advice, the stuff everyone repeats, and we're asking, what if it's basically wrong? We're diving into the surprisingly practical, kind of counterintuitive world of Scott Adams, the Dilbert creator.
Right. And Adams, he doesn't really position himself as like a typical expert, does he?
No, not at all. He calls himself a professional simplifier. His job, cartooning, it's all about cutting through the noise, the jargon.
Getting to that core idea, what he calls the absurd yet true core.
Exactly. And that's kind of our mission today, too.
And, when you dig into his ideas, the big one, the really challenging one, is how he flips success on its head. It starts with two key things he tracks.
Yep.
First, and this is the shocker, goals are for losers.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely swimming against the current. I mean, everything today is about goals, OKRs, 5-year plans. So if you ditch the fixed target, what stops you from just drifting? What replaces that?
Yeah, good question. It's replaced by his second metric, maximizing your personal energy. Adams basically says your personal energy is the only thing worth tracking day to day. Think of it like profit in business, but for humans.
Profit for humans. Explain that a bit.
Well, every choice you make, what you eat, who you hang out with, what skills you learn, it either adds to your energy profit or it subtracts from it. If you focus on consistently boosting that energy, he argues success just sort of happens. It becomes a side effect.
Okay, I like the practicality. But before we fully jump into that framework, we should probably address his, let's say, skepticism about truth itself. He talks about these 6 filters we use and says they're all flawed.
Oh, absolutely. It's fundamental to his thinking. He lists them out. Your own experience, what people you know experienced, experts, scientific studies, common sense, and spotting patterns. We use these constantly, right? But they fail us. He points out how people look at the exact same facts and come to wildly different conclusions. We see it everywhere, politics, culture.
So, okay, if experts disagree, studies can be shaky, common sense is, well, not always common, and our own experience is limited. What's left? How do you build a system on shaky ground?
Well, he argues the closest we get to something reliable isn't absolute truth, but consistency. He uses this funny popcorn analogy. If you have popcorn and like clockwork an hour later, you feel kind of bad consistently. You can reasonably guess the popcorn is the cause. It might not be a published study, but the pattern is consistent for you. And that's useful.
Okay, got it.
So his whole approach is built on finding these patterns, these actions that consistently boost your energy and your odds of success.
Right. Actions with high probability. Speaking of which, let's hit that big one. Follow your passion. Adam says that's Chester. Well, he uses stronger language.
He calls it bullshit. Yeah, pretty direct. He thinks it's dangerous because it puts this fuzzy emotion ahead of actual rational thinking. He talks about his time as a commercial loan officer back in San Francisco. Apparently, the unofficial rule in the office was simple. You never, ever lend money to someone who's obviously, consumed by their passion.
Okay, so tell us about the example he gives, the 2 loan applicants.
Right. So you've got this super passionate sports guy, wants to open a high-end bike shop. He's all fired up, totally invested emotionally.
Which sounds good.
Well, Adams says that makes him a huge risk. He's likely to make irrational decisions, bet the farm on a whim. Then you have the other guy who wants to open a dry cleaning place. Why? Because the spreadsheet numbers look solid. Zero passion for dry cleaning. Just sees a good business model.
And the bank preferred the dry cleaner.
Every single time. The grinder, the one focused on the system, not the emotion, was the safe bet.
So the big takeaway here is that we've got cause and effect backwards. We think passion leads to success.
But Adams flips it. He says success is much more likely to cause passion.
Interesting.
Yeah. You don't start passionate about, say, writing a comic strip about office life. Dilbert was just one of many schemes he tried. His passion for Dilbert grew after it started succeeding, after it started working. The system produces results, the results fuel the passion, and that passion feeds back into your personal energy.
That really reframes things. If passion isn't the starting point, then the real task is managing your energy and setting up systems that improve your odds. Which brings us neatly to that core distinction he makes. Goals versus systems.
Exactly. Let's break that down.
Okay, so a goal, that's a specific target, right? Lose 20 pounds, get that promotion, make $1 million. You either hit it or you miss.
Right. And Adams points out that if you're goal-oriented, you're basically living in a state of near constant failure. Because until you hit that future goal...
You haven't succeeded yet, you're failing today.
Precisely. And then what happens after you hit the goal? Say you lose the weight. Poof, the thing driving you is gone.
The purpose disappears.
Yeah, he warns, it often leaves people feeling kind of empty, adrift, Like, okay, now what?
Whereas a system that gives you ongoing purpose.
That's the idea. A system is just something you do regularly that stacks the odds in favor of your long-term happiness. Like exercising daily or eating well consistently, or maybe for a writer, pitching article ideas every week. The process itself is the point.
So you feel successful just by sticking to the system today, not waiting for some future win.
Exactly. And a good system can handle setbacks. Bad luck hits everyone, but a system keeps you going.
And Adams definitely seems to have had his share of bad luck to test that resilience. The sources really emphasize his failure rate, something like 95%. He basically says he was a screw-up most of the time.
Yeah, he's very open about it. But the failures weren't wasted. They taught him crucial lessons for building his systems.
Okay, let's look at some of those failures. What about the Velcro rosin bag for tennis players? Seemed like a decent idea.
It did, a simple product improvement. But the lesson wasn't about the idea itself.
What was it then?
The big lesson was, good ideas are basically worthless.
Yeah.
Seriously, the world is flooded with good ideas. What the market actually rewards is execution, getting it made, getting it distributed, marketing it. Adams realized he'd focused on the what, not the how. That changed everything for him.
Then there was the Dilburrito, the vitamin-packed vegetarian burrito. That one didn't fail because of a bad idea or even bad execution initially, right? It got into stores.
Oh, yeah, it got massive distribution.
Okay.
7-Eleven, Walmart, big grocery chains. It was everywhere for a bit, but it got crushed in the marketplace by, well, dirty tricks from competitors.
Like what?
Like rivals apparently sending people into stores just to move the Dilburritos to the bottom shelf, hide them behind their own products. Sabotage, basically. So the lesson there wasn't about the product quality. It was about how brutal the actual market environment can be. Success means navigating that minefield.
And it's a folderoo. The folder with a floppy disk pocket.
That one just fizzled. He pitched it to his syndicate, but they were in the business of licensing characters, not designing and selling office supplies. It wasn't their game.
So another lesson learned, know your partner's business.
Exactly. And even his corporate jobs, they ended in failure too. He talks about hitting a diversity ceiling at both Crocker Bank and Pacific Bell.
Okay.
But look at the skills he picked up along the way. Banking, finance, contracts, tech, management. Each failure was actually data collection, input for the system.
So every failure, every dead end, it wasn't really a waste. It was feeding the system, building that personal energy potential over the long run, which leads us to his kind of success math, the formula he proposes. Good plus good. Excellent.
Yeah, this is really interesting, like compounding interest, but for skills. He argues trying to be the absolute best in the world at one single thing is a long shot, a really tough gamble.
Right.
You're much better off becoming just good, not amazing, just competent at 2 or 3 complementary skills, because that combination is rare.
And that rarity gives you an edge.
A huge edge. He figures every useful skill you add roughly doubles your odds of success.
And Adams himself is kind of the prime example, isn't he? He readily admits he's not a great artist. His business skills. Mediocre, he says.
Right. But he's got good writing, pretty good humor, and he was comfortable with technology early on, just as a hobbyist.
None of those skills alone are world-beating.
Not at all. But stack them together. That specific mix, decent art, good writing, good humor, tech savviness, business basics, that was incredibly rare back then. That stack is why Dilbert worked. It let him be the first syndicated comic online for free and the first to put his email address right there in the strip.
Direct feedback from readers.
Instantly. That let him pivot the comic towards workplace humor, which is when it just exploded. It was the combination, the stack of good enough skills, not excellence in one area.
Okay, so this is practical. If we want to build our own systems, what skills does Adams recommend focusing on? Skills that compound. He mentioned psychology and persuasion first.
Definitely. Because at the end of the day, we're always selling something ourselves, our ideas, our products. And he points to really simple psychological triggers you can use, like the word because. Studies apparently show people are way more likely to comply with a request if you just add because, even if the reason that follows is kind of dumb.
Just the word itself signals reasonableness.
Yeah, it seems to flip a switch in the brain. It's a cheap hack, like you said earlier.
And what about that hero question he suggests for tricky situations?
Oh, that's a great one. If someone's blocking you or you need them to really step up, don't argue or plead. Instead, you ask calmly, is there anything you can do for me?
How does that work?
It instantly reframes the whole interaction. Suddenly, you're the one in need and they are the powerful, capable person who could potentially save the day. the hero.
And people like being the hero.
Exactly. They want to live up to that positive image. He says they'll often go above and beyond just to fulfill that role. It's surprisingly effective.
He also emphasizes business writing. Not about being fancy, but about being clear and efficient.
Yeah, it's about cutting the noise, like avoiding passive voice. The boy hit the ball is just clearer, faster, less work for the reader than the ball was hit by the boy.
Makes you sound more direct, more intelligent.
Right. And he advises cutting filler words that don't add meaning, like already or currently sometimes. Just makes writing cleaner, tighter, and ultimately more persuasive because it respects the reader's time and energy.
And the last big skill, one that terrifies a lot of people, public speaking. He insists it's learnable, even for super shy folks.
He claims he conquered his own shyness, not by changing his personality, but by acting, by deciding to play the role of a confident person.
Faking it till you make it.
Kinda, yeah. He found it easier to adopt a persona than to fundamentally rewire his introversion. And that connects to that story from his public speaking class.
Ah, yes, the student who completely panicked and basically collapsed.
Right. Total public failure, right in front of everyone. But the instructor's reaction was brilliant. After the student was helped out, the instructor just looked at the class and said, "Wow, that was brave."
Turning humiliation into courage.
Exactly. A masterclass in reframing. The student didn't fail at speaking. They succeeded at confronting a massive fear. That kind of mental reframing, that's a powerful system for managing your own emotions and energy.
Okay, so let's bring it all back together. The core idea is that success isn't about chasing outcomes, it's about managing your inputs. Believing you're a moist robot, as he puts it.
Yeah, maybe not the most flattering term, but it's about seeing yourself as a system you can program.
Yeah.
You control the inputs, eating right, exercising, managing your time, learning constantly. You heavily influence the outcomes, allowing for, a bit of luck.
And happiness, he argues, is the real goal, which comes from high energy.
Right. Happiness needs health and a flexible schedule, basically. Both require high energy. So your main job is just maximizing that personal energy profit day by day.
Which leads to this final, really fascinating idea, using our own tendency for self-deception as a tool.
Yeah, this is mind-bending stuff. Adams points out our brains aren't built for seeing objective reality perfectly. They're built for survival, which often involves creating illusions that help us function.
Like competing religions or even just our own internal biases.
Exactly. But knowing that we create these illusions, knowing we're easily manipulated even by ourselves, that can be a superpower.
How so?
Well, if you manage your illusions wisely, you can hack your own perception. Take affirmations, for example. Saying, "I am a successful writer," might feel silly or untrue initially.
But the act of saying it.
The act forces you into an optimistic mindset. You start looking for evidence to support the claim. And studies do show optimists literally notice more opportunities than pessimists.
So by adopting the belief, even if it feels irrational at first, you actually change your behavior and perception in ways that make success more likely. You make yourself luckier.
Precisely. The system of belief has immediate, practical utility. Even if the belief itself isn't objectively true at the start, it directs your energy.
The bottom line seems to be, build systems that conserve and boost your energy, keep stacking useful skills, and don't be afraid to manage your own psychology.
That sums it up pretty well. It's a continuous process, not a destination.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, to chew on is this. What slightly irrational but high-energy, positive idea about your own future are you willing to start acting on today, simply because believing it might give you the energy and focus you need right now? Maybe that controlled self-deception is the ultimate system hack for finding whatever success means to you.